We are on the grid for the Texaco Havoline 200 at Road America in the heart of Kettle Moraine country of central Wisconsin at Elkhart Lake. We have a breezy day with puffy clouds overhead, but the sun has broken through. It looks like we could have good conditions for a great race. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha, along with Danny Sullivan, many times a winner here at Road America. This is my second visit with the IndyCars, and I couldn't have picked a better time. The final 3 races of the season will be on ESPN. You'll see the champion crowned, although that won't happen today. Here are the final events of the year. After today's race, we'll move on to Vancouver, British Columbia, and the Molson Indy on September 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on September 8th, just a week later, the final event of the year, the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey from Laguna Seca at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we have lots to talk about this weekend, but of course the championship is uppermost on anybody's mind. 10 drivers still with a shot at it, Danny. The guys are going to be scrambling for points.
They got to go for points. They cannot make a mistake today. Mistakes, you're going to drop back at least 3 or 4 spots.
Now, this track is 4 miles around. You've got to conserve your tires and hit your fuel window, and that can be tough.
Well, I'm picking the Goodyears. They look like they've got a strong tire today. They're going to be good all day. Fuel, if you run out, if you miss the lap you've got to come in, you run out, that last mile is uphill. You'll never make it.
And that is right. You cannot coast uphill. And this guy has won a race because someone else ran out of fuel, specifically Michael Andretti. There's also news from Robbie Gordon. If you haven't already heard, Robbie Gordon is heading Winston Cup racing next year, and there's more to that story we'll have in a moment. Right now, let's talk to the 2 protagonists for the Drivers' Championship. They are teammates, and they're standing by with Jan.
And that's right. At least at the moment, we have Jimmy Vasser, our points leader. Now, it looks like you and Alex today may be the people to watch out for. But for you at Mid-Ohio, that was a huge advantage, what you could do in the points. How aggressive will you be here?
Well, we pretty much approach all the races in the same fashion. And, you know, we still need to do well. There's 3 races left. We can't, that's no time to kick back and cruise. I'll be trying my best. And but we do realize we need to finish these races and get as many points as we can.
Now tell me, at the start, will you be somewhat conservative and then pick up the pace? I mean, I know you don't want to lay it back, but you can't take any chances either.
Well, I don't, you know, you don't want to knock yourself out of the race, but I'm going to be, you know, in a pack of cars where it's going to be pretty busy, so obviously I'll be trying to watch out as much as I can, keep good care of the target car.
All right, I guess you call that cautious optimism. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Okay, I'm standing with row number 2 on the grid, Newman Haas Racing. They've won here more times than any other team. Michael Andretti, you're 3rd. You've been on both ends of the stick as far as fuel economy here. What's it going to be today?
I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. I think, you know, all the engines today, they've come a long way in terms of fuel mileage, and I don't believe it's going to be a major issue.
All right, Christian, he qualified on the primary tire. Yesterday, you went to the optional, came in 4th. You going to stick with that tire?
Well, I have to stick with that tire, at least for the first stint. But I think the tire will hopefully hang in there, and then stint 2 and 3, I can choose whatever tire I want to use.
Now, that's not what you told me before. You said you were thinking real seriously about going back to that primary.
Well, that's what I told you before, but now that I saw the weather and it's a little bit overcast, maybe I'll change my mind.
All right, Bob, he may change his mind. We'll find out. We'll keep you posted.
All right, thank you, Marty. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know who this kid is? Let's give you a few hints. He comes from Orange, California. His father, Bob, used to race with him off-road. His aggressive driving was evident at a very early age. He was winning motocross races by the age of 15. He has won 2 IndyCar races in his career. This year, he has 1 podium finish, and he has been making news this weekend. Do you recognize this driver? No more hints. He's standing by with Danny Sullivan. Who is this guy?
Well, you can't tell from the shoes, but look who I've got with me. This is the man of the moment, it seems like, in the news. Robbie, you're making some big changes in your career. Tell us about them.
Well, you know, it's definitely a big change. I know you went down and tried it a while back, and I think you had a lot of fun. You know, one of the things that really made me make that decision was I wondered if I was having fun racing Indy cars, or if it was the truck or the IROC car, and I've decided I've had so much fun racing all of them, I'm going to get to race 16 more races now in a Winston Cup car.
Well, he's going to go do some Winston Cup, but the other rumor that's going around, of course, is that you're jumping out of Indy cars, you're going to do Winston Cup, and now you're also going to do the IRL, and that you got some backing and support from Tony George and your new sponsors down in Winston Cup.
Well, the Tony George thing's not true. I know that's come up today. I've heard it a couple times myself. Too bad it's not true. It sounds like a hell of a deal. But, you know, the thing I'm working on, Coors, I heard, has an interest in going to the Indy 500, and I definitely would like to go there and run the Indy 500, so we'll probably just do that race.
Well, you heard it from Robbie Gordon. There you have it.
All right, thank you, Danny. This weekend, when this record crowd of IndyCar fans aren't spending their time watching the cars, they're busy shopping for unique racing collectibles in the paddock. We'll be right back. IndyCar On the Grid is brought to you by Texaco Havoline Formula 3 motor oil. Controls volatility and fights vaporization. By Target. At Target, you can expect more and pay less. And by Toyota Motorsports. Our minds are always racing. Welcome back to Road America. But coming up tonight here on The Deuce, great boxing action from the Corral at the Calgary Stampede in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. An NABF Cruiserweight Championship bout as champion Brian LaSpada takes on challenger Dale Brown. That'll be coming your way at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Great boxing action here on ESPN2. Now let's join Marty Reed, who is standing by with the driver of the Hall Racing Pennzoil Special, Gilles de Ferran.
Yes, and everything was going real well until this morning's warm-up. When you blew the motor, you're going to have to go to the backup car. Confidence. How do you feel going into this?
I feel quite confident because typically the backup car is just as good as the primary car, so I'm still confident for a good result this afternoon.
Hey guys, I got to show you this real quickly. When he was like 14, he was an exchange student here, and everybody got together, and since this is his adopted state, they wanted you to have this since it matches the uniform. You don't have to put it on right. I don't think it would fit, but it looks great. Jan, it's all yours, buddy.
Well, Paul Tracy is getting ready for driver introductions, and you have to climb some stairs. I know that might be more painful than driving your car. Obviously, you were hurt. You've come back. How much are you hurt, and do you risk further injury by driving?
Well, obviously we're taking a risk, but I want to race, and Trammell has assured me as long as I don't have any problems that I'm good to race, and we'll just have to see how the race goes. We qualified the Marlboro car well, but I haven't done any more than 4 laps at a time, so we'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, one good factor for Paul Tracy, it's a little bit cooler today. Obviously, it'll be a tougher job driving hurt. Let's get back to Bob.
All right, thanks, guys. From high overhead, here's a look at the front straightaway here at Road America. Now, earlier in the weekend, the car may have had 1 seat, but we've got 2 great chauffeurs, Danny Sullivan and Michael Andretti. Take us on a lap at Elkhart Lake.
We're on board with Michael Andretti just past the start-finish line. This is about 198 miles an hour here. Breaks down into 4th gear. This is a very fast first turner. Flat. Gets back on the power here. He'll pass this car down a steep hill. He'll get up to about 170 miles an hour right through there. Now this corner is very important. Comes out onto this lower straightaway. This is the fastest straightaway on the track. Up through the gears. Just right here is where Michael Andretti last year tapped with Al Unser Jr. and crashed right there on your right-hand side through the shadows. Now we start going downhill into the toughest braking, the slowest corner on the track, 59 miles an hour, and we're going to hear from Michael right about now.
Up to 3rd, down to 2nd again. Up to 3rd, taking just about flat out through this kink. To 4th, back down to 2nd gear. Up to the carousel, taking it 4th gear.
And back here, this carousel is slightly off-cambered, really important corner. It's very fast, leads onto all this flat-out section where you go up through the gears. He's doing about 170 right there. Of course, he's a little bit hampered by the traffic in front of him. See that clump of dust where they ran off? This is all flat out through here. Very important braking area coming up. We're coming to the 2nd slowest corner. This is Canada corner. It's doing about 75 miles an hour through this corner.
Up the hill, up to 4th gear, just about flat out underneath this bridge. The last turn, taken in 3rd gear.
Well, you were on board a lap with Michael Andretti, and we saw it with all the traffic in there. That's really what it's like under race conditions. And he's just going to pass the start-finish line right there. There's a lap of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
A legendary track and a tough job for any driver to master. We've got great racing coming your way. On the grid for the Texaco Havoline 200, we're missing Emerson Fittipaldi. Jan Magnussen will start in his place for the rest of the year, and he's got a lot of work ahead of him. We'll be back. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the largest single-day crowd for a sporting event in Wisconsin history. The Green Bay Packers don't want to hear it, but it's true. Well in excess of 70,000 fans on hand, and somewhere out there is Marty Reed. Marty, what have you got for us? I know it probably has something to do with either race cars or food.
Anytime you come to the racetrack, you got to worry about one thing, right? Food. What are you going to eat? That's what everybody over in the hospitality tents are thinking, and this is a pretty nice grill layout. Of course, Road America, world famous for their brats, but as you can see, you can get ham and hamburgers and chicken. But if you think this is a big grill, now this is a grill. In fact, it's the world's largest, built by Johnsonville Meats, and you got to come with me, and I want to show you this. 65 feet long from stem to stern, and when you look at the lid itself, it's made out of steel, of course, but look at how it's powered. Pneumatic lifts. As we come down past the first cooking area, they've got their own self-contained hot and cold water system and a freezer. You think you got enough brats to cook? Well, they need them, because when you come down to the cooking area, take a look at this. 750 is what they can do at a single time, and then 2,500 for every single hour. And their record in a 4-hour stretch at a Green Bay Packer game, they made 22,000. And of course, you got a taste test. Boy, is that good!
Hey, save me one of those dogs, would you please, over there. But listen, I'm standing with two greats right here. Got Walter Payton, who just got inducted into the College Hall of Fame right here. What an award, huh?
Tell you what, it's the last step on the climb to the top, because the College Hall of Fame was the only thing that I could ever get, and I got it, and I tell you what, it's a happy feeling.
Congratulations to you. And on my other side is Paul Newman. Now, Paul, you and I drove for you at this place. I like that mustache.
Thank you. I just won the Spaghetti Sauce Prince Award of 1996 here, so I feel very pleased about that. The thing that's interesting about this is the largest single sporting crowd for a one-day event that they've ever had in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, we're happy to be a part of it, and what do you think of your chances today?
I think they're good.
Good luck to you. Well, the one great thing about walking around down here, you meet all kinds of people. Look, we got one of our new sponsors over here, Sherm from Unidal. He's one of the new guys in it. Congratulations. You happy to be here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you. Look what's up under here. Danny Sullivan. Hey, where'd you get that? All right, well, we're going to just kind of cruise up here. Of course, you know, the largest crowd, it seems always before the start of the race, to be out here on the grid. I mean, it's pretty tough for all the crews. Everybody's hanging out here, hoping to get noticed. I even see some planes that are going to be about to buzz by. John Gorsline, he's one of the guys that insures everybody here, all the folks from Motor. There's the P-51 Mustangs going over there. Paul Newman stopped over here to talk to a guy. Hey, I got to get this guy too. You mind me interrupting you, Paul? We got a guy here from, this is Jack McDonough. He's one of the head guys from Miller. This is your all's hometown, so to speak.
This is very close by Milwaukee, and Miller loves supporting this track. It's a terrific track, and I hope Bobby Rahal does well here.
Well, thanks very much. I know I've drove for you for a while. I enjoyed it. You were with one of those other beer companies earlier.
You're a great driver. Great interviewer.
Thank you very much. Okay, Bob, I think that's about all we got time for down here. There's so many people to talk to. This is such a great time, but you can take it from there.
Okay, Danny, I go to a lot of air shows, but I've never seen three P-51s all in formation or words to that effect. Don't forget, it's a big day in motorsports, and all the highlights will be coming your way on RPM tonight, including the IndyCar race coming up in a matter of moments, the NASCAR Winston Cuppers at Michigan International Speedway, and the IRL cars at Loudon, New Hampshire. Kenny Mayne will have all the highlights tonight on RPM tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, only here on ESPN2. Plenty of excitement building here at Road America, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Road America. You can hear the planes overhead. We're up here on the front row. The tension is starting to build. Here's my pick, Gilles de Ferran. He's starting to get into the car. You can see, just put on the knee pads. That's because although this track is smooth, the G-forces are so high that sometimes the knees do tend to rub inside the cockpit. As long as he's getting in, let's look at some of his gear. There's the fireproof hood. Here's a steering wheel with all kinds of buttons. A couple of those, by the way, we're not supposed to look at that control the Honda power plant. Back to his helmet. Here's a tearaway. See how many he has for this race. Ah, he's only got 2. Doesn't look like he expects to have anybody to follow today. Only putting 2 on there, that's some confidence. Also a drink tube, puts that onto his drink bottle so he can get some refreshment during the race. And of course the all-important earplugs that have little transponders inside them so he can listen through his crew. Now, right next door, of course, our pole sitter. Hey, but where's Alex Zanardi? Well, a lot of times you take on a lot of fluids before the race. The first thing you got to do, run back to the porta-john to make sure you don't run into trouble during the race. These guys look confident. You can see covers on the wings. Covers on the wings so that we can't look here and find out what kind of aerodynamics you're running, but I think if we peek under here, boy, there's not much of a gurney lip on that baby.
Nothing to say about it.
Oh, sorry. We uncovered some secret stuff there, possibly. Chip, you pretty confident today?
Well, I'd like to think I got a good team. I got a great team. I got great drivers. We'll have to do the best we can today. We'll see what happens.
How much more aggressive was Zanardi versus Vasser?
I can't tell you that.
They're not telling us much down here at Ganassi Racing. Let's see if Marty Reed can learn more on the other end of the grid. Marty?
Well, we're down with Al Unser Jr. climbing into the cockpit of the Penske, and with Roger Penske. And while he's strapping in, I guess the question is, can you guys move to the front? I know this car has not been real good on these high-speed courses so far.
Well, Marty, I guess as you can see the grid, it's awful close. The guy we're racing is Vasser, and he's 2 or 3 positions ahead of us, so you can see just the difference within their own team. Hard to say until we get into the race. It's going to be a long one. Fuel is going to be awful key here, and what you can't afford to do is run out of fuel.
Is this going to be strategy of your guy, Al Unser Jr., racing Jimmy Vasser?
That's the only thing we're racing today. I mean, we got to race him. We got to finish ahead of him to try to get points. To worry about anything else, I think, is a mistake.
Well, right in front of him is Jan Magnussen.
All right, we are sorry for that interruption of Marty's microphone and camera. Obviously a problem down on the grid. But as you can see, final preparations underway for this race. Roger Penske said it all. We have got to go out behind Al Unser Jr. and race Jimmy Vasser for the points championship. Let's get to Jan Bika somewhere down there in that mass of people.
Well, we're looking over the shoulder of a couple of Andrettis. First of all, Michael Andretti climbing into the cockpit. They're going to belt him in, and that's one of the most important things that you do, not just for safety, but they buckle them as tight as they possibly can so you don't move around in the cockpit. But looking over the front tire here is Mario Andretti. Now, you haven't been feeling too well. However, you've been out there turning some laps with that IMAX car. You still in love with this racetrack?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with this new surface. It's unbelievable how much grip there is. So it's got to be a lot of fun for these guys. And camera car felt pretty good, too.
I know he's been having a lot of fun in the camera car. Hey, Marty, you got your pack fixed yet?
Yeah, I think we're back in business. You're looking at Jan Magnussen, a real stellar performance, qualifying here in only a second IndyCar race. He qualified 10th. Let's go take a look over right next door. Bobby Rahal is climbing in. In fact, he's already into the car with the brand new paint job, celebrating 25 years of Miller beer, and they've gone to the silver paint. And I guess ran into somebody that I think everyone across the country will know and signing autographs. David, we're live to the ESPN2 audience. Didn't expect to see you here this weekend. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here. Wisconsin is beautiful. And by the way, you can't stand here when the race starts.
Well, then why? Okay, but can you stay there?
No. I'll be in the motorhome enjoying it on television.
Oh, you're going to just make us work. What's this? Herda-mania?
That's right. This is the day it officially begins. It begins today, and look out.
All right.
Because
now,
once it starts, it can't be contained.
Listen, can I proposition you here? I'll host your show.
Is this the Deuce?
Yes, we are. That's what the Big Two is.
So this is rented equipment then, is that right?
Do you watch the Deuce?
I don't get the damn Deuce. I'm telling you, I'd watch it if I could get it. I can't get it into my house. Send a guy out. Send a cable guy out there.
You have enough money? Buy a dish.
Yeah, money is, I don't see it as being my problem. I want it. I can't get it.
You have a phone? Call your cable operator.
Just when things were at their best, and that interview was reaching a high point. I think we all sympathize with what Dave was telling us about watching the Deuce. Of course, if you're watching this, you already get it. You don't need to worry about it. We'll take a timeout and get ready for racing here at Road America. Stick around. As Team Ganassi leads the IndyCar Championship stretch run, their focus is on equipment. Thus far, Honda Power, Firestone Tires, and Reynard Chassis have produced 6 wins for the team. 4 of them have pushed Jimmy Vasser to the championship lead, while Alex Zanardi leads the rookies. The Tasman team has married Hondas to the Lola chassis and Firestones. Andre Ribeiro has won twice, and teammate Adrian Fernandez took his first win. The other Honda star has been Hall Racing, using Goodyear rubber for Gilles de Ferran. Who will have the right combination today at Road America? Stay tuned. On a breezy day with cloudy skies and a threat of rain, welcome to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, site of round 14 on the PPG IndyCar World Series for 1996, the Texaco Havoline 200. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha. The final 3 races of the 96 season will be coming your way here on ESPN. We will not crown our drivers' champion today. The points are way too tight for that. But there are 2 titles at stake for engines and the IndyCar Nations Cup. America could clinch the title over Brazil. With me to bring you the action of today's race, Danny Sullivan. And Danny, at this point of the year, collars are getting a little tight, and those championship points are important.
Well, every point counts. There's 66 points left in these 3 races. Everybody wants the maximum amount they can get, and it's going to not only determine the champion, but probably 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th places as well. Everybody wants that.
Now, we've talked about combination, tires, engine, and the car itself all year long. It's never been more important than what we've seen here, and it's very hard to predict based on practice and qualifying.
Well, it is. I still can't get the exact combination right. You've got Reynard, Lola, Penske chassis, Honda, Mercedes, Ford engines, Toyota engines, and Goodyear and Firestone. How do you put them all together? We've seen winners in all categories, but this one is a very tough one to touch with these last couple of races coming up.
And with 4 miles of racetrack to negotiate, conserving your tires and your fuel are going to be very important here today. Now, we've seen some amazing moments here over the years at Road America, and let's take a look at those now. How about Paul Tracy a couple of years ago in final qualifying with the pole already in hand? He pushed the envelope too far and suffered one of the most amazing shunts we have ever seen here at Elkhart Lake. Or just last year, Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. taking one another out on only the 2nd lap of the race and putting a very different spin on the title chase. But now is 1996. The gauge goes back to 0, and here is our starting grid for today's race. Alex Zanardi, 4th pole of the year. Gilles de Ferran will be alongside a winner at Cleveland earlier this season. Row 2 will be Michael Andretti, who won back-to-back at Elkhart Lake in 1990 and 91, with his teammate Christian Fittipaldi alongside. On row 3, Mauricio Gugelmin, his best qualifying position of the year, alongside the focus of Hertamania, Brian Herta. On row 4, Jimmy Vasser, the points leader, 2nd a week ago to his teammate, and Paul Tracy, returning from his injuries suffered at Michigan. On row 5 will be Bobby Rahal, his 15th IndyCar start at Road America, looking for his first win, and Jan Magnussen, replacing the injured Emerson Fittipaldi. Row 6 will be Greg Moore, who has fallen to 2nd in Rookie of the Year standings to Zanardi and Al Unser Jr., 2nd in the points coming in. On row 7 will be Mark Blundell, the Englishman who has scored in the last 6 races, and Adrian Fernandez, not where we're used to seeing Honda power on a starting grid. On row number 8 will be Robbie Gordon, who's been big news this weekend with a switch to Winston Cup racing for next year. This may be his last start here. Scott Pruitt will be alongside. On row 9, Raul Boesel, his 150th IndyCar start, still looking for his first win. He'll have Andre Ribeiro, also a lot further back in the field than we're used to seeing him. On row 10 will be Davy Jones, making his first start here in an IndyCar for the Gallus team, and Parker Johnstone, whose team has not tested here, and they have suffered because of it. On row 11, Stefan Johansson, who has scored in 5 of the last 6 events, and Roberto Moreno in his 3rd start, but his first in 10 years. On row 12, Max Papis, the highest starting Toyota driver in the field. He had a big crash in final qualifying, and Juan Fangio II, a winner in IMSA GTP cars here at Road America in 1992. And on row 13, PJ Jones, his 8th start of the year with the Eagle Toyota, and Hiro Matsushita, his 8th start at Road America. The clouds have parted, sunshine on the racetrack. That may make things a little slippery. Here is our race analysis. 50 laps of the 4-mile circuit for a total of 200 miles. Alex Zanardi, who has now tied his teammate Jimmy Vasser, 4 poles each on the season. Michael Andretti holds the race record set back in 1991. Pit stops will be critical. We're looking for them about laps 16 and 33. Now let's talk a little bit about the Rookie Championship, Danny.
Well, Alex Zanardi really stretched it out a little bit at Mid-Ohio. He was only 1 point ahead of Greg Moore. He won that race, and now look at the points there. Don't forget that he also got a point for pole position. Let me tell you, he's been tough.
Look at the way Zanardi has dominated in laps led. 343 laps of the last 5 races. Clearly the leader. Second place on yearly standards was Paul Tracy. He has dropped well back. Andre Ribeiro nowhere close to what the young Italian, or as Chip Ganassi, his car owner, choose to call him, the un-Italian Italian. He is as cool as a cucumber, and he has been racing well. There you see the track, and look at the speed numbers.
Those are incredible. Look how fast they're doing, not just on the straightaways, 196 miles an hour, but very fast with 2 very slow corners.
A 160-foot elevation change, the highest point of the track, the start-finish line, the lowest point back in Canada Corner. The cars continue to warm tires and engines in preparation for the start of round 14 of the season with so much at stake. Zanardi has the pole point, 65 points still at stake for the PPG Cup, and with it a $1 million championship bonus. The final 3 races of the year coming to you here on ESPN. We welcome all of our viewers now to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Road America for round 14 of the PPG IndyCar World Series. More than 75,000 fans on hand all the way around. Largest sports crowd in Wisconsin history, and this should be a great race. Danny?
Well, Bob, it's got to be. They're coming down with 3 races left. This is one of them for the championship. There's a lot at stake. Everybody's jumped up there. There's 10 people that can win this championship. Points are very important today. We can't see any mistakes like we saw at Mid-Ohio last week.
I'm Bob Varsha. Working with me, Danny Sullivan. Down in the pits, Marty Reed and Jan Bikas. And now the moment. A 195-mile-an-hour start, funneling down into a very quick right-hander at turn 1. From overhead, look at the jammed parking lots. Crowds on the hillside. The field, 26 strong, has one more turn, and then they will make the traditional run to an uphill start. They will not be able to see the flag stand until they crest the hill. We will be up in the rev range, reaching close to 200 miles an hour before the action begins at turn 1. Look at that crowd on hand here today at Elkhart Lake.
Forget the crowd. Look at the crowd on the track. Look how they're bunched up. This is going to be a great, oh, what a great looking start there.
Zanardi in red, Gilles de Ferran in yellow, and the crowd is on its feet as we get underway. De Ferran with the early lead as he comes alongside of Zanardi.
He's going to try around the outside. He went down around the outside.
Did he come away with it? Not yet.
They're still side by side. Look at that. Oh! Oh!
Zanardi and De Ferran touch. De Ferran is headed for the gravel. Now can he get out?
Oh, the same thing that happened to him at the start. I mean, he made the mistake at Mid-Ohio, but oh.
Gilles de Ferran, what a tremendous twist of fate. A week ago at Mid-Ohio, he ran into the back of Mauricio Gugelmin and went straight off. And there is Jan Magnussen sitting in for Emerson Fittipaldi in the Hogan Penske car.
And he's bumped that front wheel. See that left front on your screen? It's the suspension's all bent. Look at this. I tell you, Zanardi came over. De Ferran had the spot. Zanardi pinched him over there. That, I'm afraid, was Zanardi's fault there.
I was looking further back in the pack to see if we could see what happened to Magnussen, but I could not see it. And we have a full course yellow. The flags are waving from the flag stand. And there is Gilles de Ferran. What could be going through his mind now? What a disappointment for de Ferran, who won earlier this year in Cleveland in the final season as a car owner for Jim Hall. This should be a quick yellow as both cars are off the racetrack. There is Jim Hall. It appears that his team's race is over before it began. Stay with us. The Texaco Havoline 200 from Road America is being brought to you by Texaco Havoline Formula 3 motor oil. Controls volatility and fights vaporization. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. Welcome back to Road America. There's Gilles de Ferran, 5th in points coming into the weekend. Jan Magnussen replacing Emerson Fittipaldi for the balance of the season. Both of them are out of the race on the very first lap, and that will be devastating to de Ferran's chances of overhauling Jimmy Vasser for the championship. There you see de Ferran's car just outside the gravel trap at turn 3. Magnussen's car buried in the pea gravel. Let's get down to the pit lane and Marty Reed.
Down here with a very disappointed Jim Hall. What did he say on the radio, Jim?
Well, he was disappointed. I was watching the monitor, and Alex just put him off the road, which is, you know, not very well done on his part, in my estimation. Joe was pretty upset about it.
2 races now before you call it quits. This is such a sad way to end it up. You still got 2 more shots.
We still got 2 more shots. It's disappointing from the championship standpoint because we could have used some points, and Joe was quite competitive here, and we had a good chance to win the race. I guess that's racing, but yeah, I'm disappointed.
Let's end this on a positive note. You have to be proud of your crew. We've been watching them all week, and ever since you made the announcement, I mean, this is not a team that's rolling over.
Oh no, these guys are good guys. We've got a good crew this year. They've really come together, and they do a good job. We're competitive at every race.
We'll see you at the next race. Let's go to Jan Vigas.
Well, Marty, the big question down here in the Ganassi Racing camp is there damage on Alex Zanardi's car? Obviously, there's been a lot of radio communications back and forth from Chip Ganassi to Alex Zanardi. Their big concern, you could clearly see the contact on the left rear corner of the car. That's what they're worried about. They think possibly the toe might be out of adjustment. They want him, Alex, to go out there for the next lap or so, really feel out the car. They might bring him here on pit road if he feels that it's damaged. So at the moment, they're not sure, nor is Alex. A lot of confusion down here at Ganassi Racing. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jan. Christian Fittipaldi, the leader under a full course caution. The first time Fittipaldi has led since the Portland round earlier this summer. And for Gilles de Ferran, his 4th DNF of the year. You're on board with Michael Andretti, watching the 2 front runners up ahead.
Of course, he's right there in 3rd spot. They get through here pretty clean. Look at that side by side. Boy, he was a little out of shape. Comes down here, and his teammate's moving up on the inside. Boom, contact. He dives to the inside. Luckily, oh, look at that. That's what happened. Oh, he went off on the outside.
Now here's another incident. Watch the 4th car in line. Paul Tracy
right
nearest
there.
the camera with Mauricio Gugelmin down in turn 5, and off he goes.
He comes back on. I don't know if he made contact there. Here we go. The red and white one in there on the inside of your screen again. Looks like he caught that front wheel, and that looked like, was that Brian Herta? I think that was Brian Herta. He just caught it with his rear wheel, clipped that nose, popped it right off.
There you see the crews working on Jan Magnussen's car. Meanwhile, let's get down to Marty, who was in the Penske pit.
Well, until you guys just showed the replay, the team down here had no idea how the wing came off. Paul hadn't really described to him. He came in quickly. They made the change. He's back out. He's saying the car is handling fine, but obviously lost a lot of track space.
Well, just like that, the front row is out of contention. Christian Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti run 1-2 under caution. We hope to get it cleaned up shortly and get back to action. We'll be back to Road America in just a moment. Welcome back live to Road America as you see the safety crews working on Jan Magnussen's Hogan Penske car being pulled out of the sand trap after a couple of incidents on the opening laps of this Texaco Havoline 200. Let's watch now as the cars enter the first corner, 3 wide in some cases, and it's on this run down to turn 3 that Gilles de Ferran and Alex Zanardi made contact. There goes Zanardi off on the grass. Straight ahead into the gravel goes de Ferran, followed by Jan Magnussen, who made contact with someone else's car. You ride with Christian Fittipaldi.
Oh, Michael gets very sideways. That's what gives Christian the run on him down through that corner. He took that opportunity, slid through here. He's got to be loving this. He went from 4th, and oh, he got it sideways there. Did you see that car jump out? That usually means that the tires weren't up to temperature.
Now let's get down to Marty Reed in the pit lane.
Well, the Hogan team is packing up here as they are waiting for Jan Magnussen to come back. You can see Carl Hogan. He is watching the monitor trying to find out because Jan got out of the car and did not say anything, and he unhooked the radio. So they have no idea what put him out of this race. Jan?
Might be able to give you a little bit of a clue. Remember that Hogan used to be down here with Team Rahal. Now he's gone to Penske. It turns out that between Penske and Rahal, there was contact with both cars. They believe that Paul Tracy may have made contact at the rear of Brian Herta's car. They're trying to assess if he has any damage. And they believe that there was contact between Bobby Rahal and Jan Magnussen in that particular incident. They don't have any more information other than, just like Alex Zanardi, they are trying to get their driver to feel the car to find out if there's any further damage.
Well, thank you guys. It's been an expensive couple of laps here at Road America. This track now some 40 years old. Maybe it's getting a little too narrow for the heroes of IndyCar. We'll be back with more in just a moment. From high over Road America, a look at Hurry Downs, down to the world-famous carousel. Happy 50th birthday to the Little League World Series, and we'll be covering it here on ESPN2. Our coverage begins with U.S. qualifying Monday, August 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. Where else but Williamsport, Pennsylvania, site of the Little League World Series here on the Deuce. Here at Road America, we await a restart. Let's get quickly to Marty Reed in the pit lane.
Well, I've got both Jan Magnussen and team owner Carl Hogan. First, Jan, take us through what happened out there.
Not so sure what happened ahead of me. I think it was Zanardi and De Ferran that tangled. And guess it was De Ferran who went off and threw a lot of, there's a big cloud of dust, which I didn't want to go through, so I pulled out to get around the dust so I could see where I was going. And someone ran over my front wheel.
Carl, you've got to still be thrilled with this young man. I mean, 10th on the grid, and just seems like he's fitting in with the team as Emerson's replacement.
Well, he was first in practice this morning, and he's come along real well. He's been great to work with, and I think we've enjoyed a wonderful relationship so far, and let's hope it continues, because I think he's got great potential, and I know our team does, so we'll be there one of these days.
Still 2 more races, guys.
And I'm sure Emerson Fittipaldi was watching from Key Biscayne in Florida, where he is recuperating. Your team is thinking about you, Emerson. It appears that their race is over. Now the safety car pulls off. We anticipate a green flag, and we have it. Christian Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti lead the field down toward turn 1. Running first and second, the Newman Haas team that leads all other teams with 5 wins here. Michael will challenge Christian into 1.
He tried off hard, but look, he's had to go to the inside of the track there to block Big Mo. Don't forget, that's 3 Fords, and it looked like Brian Herta slid through, and some more guys are off.
Looks like Juan Fangio the second and Max Papis are off.
That's turn 1. Those are 2 Toyota-powered cars. Looks like Christian's pulling out. Big Mo has gone by. Michael Andretti, he's challenging down there.
This is into turn 5. There's a dip in the racetrack right in the middle of the braking area. Whoa, and Robbie Gordon has to take to the dirt.
You know what you can tell is going on here. They're battling for a championship. A lot of guys don't have points at stake, so they're going out for an all-out win or for a good result. Look at Christian, he's pulling away.
So Christian Fittipaldi takes the lead from Mauricio Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, and Brian Herta.
And the interesting thing is Jimmy Vasser's back there with Al Unser Jr. right behind him, and those are the 2 main guys in the championship at the moment. You notice they're staying out of trouble.
And there's been plenty of it in the opening laps as they head down to the kink. High-speed backstretch. That corner is even tighter than it looks, and it is absolutely breathtaking from these onboard cameras.
I'll tell you what, it takes you just about the entire time to get back to those corners, to get your breath back after going through that corner flat out. That looks like Alex Zanardi moving back up through the field. He's right behind Greg Moore, who's in 8th place. I don't think his car seems to be handling that bad.
Al Unser Jr. just ahead of them as they come up through Thunder Valley into turn 14. And then up the hill and across the start-finish line. Unser presently shown in
7th spot, and he started 12th, so he's taken advantage of some of the mishaps that have been on the track.
Get down to Jan Bikas in the pit lane.
Yes, guys, talking about mishaps, of course, on that first lap, you and Alex Zanardi, great race side by side. That is until he got down to turn 3. What do you think happened there? It looked like he got squeezed.
Well, what I think happened is the reality. What happened, he just decided to put me off the road on the braking. There was no reason for him to do that. There was plenty of space for him to brake on the right-hand side without putting me off the road on the left. I mean, he knew that I was there because I've been there since the corner before. He should be disqualified for unsportsmanship behavior, I believe.
Now, is there anything that you can take it up with the stewards? What can you do as a driver now to try and implement that?
Well, I can just hope the stewards see what really happened and penalize Zanardi accordingly.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, I know how he feels. That's a very frustrating, especially because he looked like a potential winner to this race. He was down there dicing, and I agree with him. I think that Alex just moved over, and Gilles didn't have any place to go. I don't know if he did that purposely to put him off, but he certainly squeezed him onto the grass, and that's unfortunate. But the really sad part is we saw he's standing there in his civvies and not in his racing suit, so there's nothing he can do about this race.
There you see the running order with 5 laps complete, 50 laps scheduled. Greg Moore with Alex Zanardi just behind him. Zanardi trying to join Nigel Mansell in the IndyCar record books by winning the Drivers' Championship and the rookie title in the same year. Now, how will all these yellow flags to start the race affect our pit stop strategies, Danny?
Well, I think what you'll really find is it'll probably move that lap that they're going to stop on 16 to probably 17, maybe even as far out as 18th lap, but they're still around this place. They're going to have to make 2 stops. What it'll really do is it'll cut out the fact that they'll have to make 3. 2 it'll be. Here's Zanardi making a real bold move right under Greg Moore.
That will put Zanardi up into the 8th spot and demote the Canadian and his runner-up in the rookie championship to 9th. This is through Hurry Downs and then sharply downhill for the left-hander preparing for the carousel.
And this part where they're going into right now, the carousel, is probably the hardest but also the most spectacular. Right there, they're coming out of that corner to 165 to 170 miles an hour. They go up into top gear right about there, right where you see them now, and flat out through that kink if everything's working properly. And that's a real hold your breath corner because it's blind. You can't see where it goes. You know it's flat, but boy, it sure doesn't feel like it when you get there.
Zanardi and Moore up the hill. Quick switchbacks right and left, and then under the bridge over a blind brow. Paul Tracy had that huge qualifying wreck back in 1992. Racing cars putting wheels off throughout practice and qualifying. Good size lead for Christian Fittipaldi and Mauricio Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, Brian Herta, Bobby Rahal sporting that silver paint job on the nose of his car to celebrate Miller Motorsports' 25th anniversary in the game. Ride with Bobby Rahal. We'll take a quick timeout and return for more of the Texaco Havoline 200 from Road America in just a moment. Christian Fittipaldi right out front. Back live at Road America, there you see Alex Zanardi about to pass this scene moments ago. Paul Tracy locked up the wheels and skittered off into the gravel trap. Here's another look.
You see him just coming down there on the inside. He's already a little sideways. He tried to get in. It looks like Parker Johnstone there, and he just locked up. He wasn't even close enough. Lost it. He just spun off. That was just a mistake. Can't blame that one on anybody. He just didn't have enough room to get down there. One thing to remember, when they have to find that balance around this circuit, it's so fast they trim out the wings. They reduce the amount of downforce. They don't have very much grip, particularly under braking. That's one of the areas where they lose it the most.
And you get over on the dirty part of the racetrack, and it's hard to find grip. Let's get down to Jan Bikas, who has more on Alex Zanardi's situation.
Yes, they came in and got 4 tires, and one of the reasons is this is the Firestone Firehawk that doesn't have much of the lettering anymore. That's because this is the tire that contacted with Gilles de Ferran. You can see very heavy damage here as far as the cord. You can actually see the wheel is damaged here. He was very fortunate he did not lose pressure on this particular tire. When the team took it off, then they looked at the race car to look for damage. The preliminary indication is no damage for Alex Zanardi, but he's happy now. He has 4 fresh tires. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Newman Haas team tells us that they're going to be able to go 18 laps and maybe even longer now with this extended yellow another time around. One of the interesting things, remember we talked about with Christian Fittipaldi and his tires, he qualified on the option tire. Well, they have the primary ready to go here, but if he continues to lead and the sun stays in, they may want to bring out those options again. One other interesting tidbit, in the last 5 races, Christian Fittipaldi has led all of 1 lap. He's got like 500% more of that right now with 5 laps led.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. There is Paul Tracy, who has gotten refired and is back on the racetrack.
He's having a tough day, and they told him to keep calm. Remember, they didn't want him, because of his injuries, to be making too much contact. But, you know, Paul's hard to keep down. He wants to go for it all the time.
Dr. Terry Trammell took a look at Paul's injuries, said there was no obvious swelling, and he didn't seem to be in too much discomfort, so they're letting him race, but he's under orders to avoid that sort of contact. And right now he has the racetrack to himself as he works his way around to the back of the grid. We'll be back with more of the Texaco Havoline 200 from Elkhart Lake in a moment. There you see Paul Tracy in the pits. Coming up tonight on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week from Fenway Park in Boston at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. The California Angels behind right fielder Tim Salmon take on the Boston Red Sox and slugger Mo Vaughn. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball Game of the Week from Boston. Paul Tracy back on the racetrack. Let's get down to Jan Bikas.
Yes, and the interesting thing, when we were watching that pit stop, they pulled off those front tires. There's still gravel coming out from the brake area and the bearings and so on around the upright itself. So, although we saw multiple pit stops, there was still additional gravel that had worked its way out of the actual brakes. Obviously, that can cause a huge problem if you've had gravel that has made its way into the actual cooling of the brake ducts and then continues to work itself out. It can actually jam the brakes open. So Paul Tracy now, fresh tires, but way behind.
He has had 3 visits to the pits thus far. Take a look from high overhead thanks to our Honda Helicam. We're grateful for these pictures. They have been terrific all season long. Today started out rather hazy, but that haze has lifted. Although the cloud cover remains, that'll keep the track temperature down and throw another unknown into the tire equation, as if we didn't have enough. Now the field slowing, closing up in anticipation of a green this time around, but they are about halfway around the racetrack from the flag stand. Let's get down to Marty Reed.
We talked a little bit about tires. Michael Andretti radioed in, said, I think the option may be the way to go if the cloud cover remains. Bad news for Michael. Take a look at all these. They are not the options. These are the primaries. He's been running very strong on them all week long, but he does not have any mounted right now, and it looks as though Christian Fittipaldi will switch over to the primary when he comes in. So they're probably hoping right now for that sun to come back out and start blistering the track.
You ride with Michael Andretti down the backstretch, headed for Canada Corner.
I'll tell you what, though, when you got something working for you and you got a tire that's working for you, I don't like change in the middle of the race unless I've really got a problem. If I'm right up there battling, I'm right off the lead, I'm in 3rd spot, you don't want to make that change and drop yourself back to about 6th or 7th. But Michael is a proven winner, and I know he wants to get to the front, and if his teammate's running a little quicker, he probably wants to have what he has.
Father Mario gave Newman Haas their first win here back in 1983. Right now, he and teammate Christian Fittipaldi are looking good. They have Mauricio Gugelmin in between them in the Pac West car. Over the rise they come. The green flag waves, and we are underway once again. Turn 1 they go.
And it looked like Michael had a slow restart. He dropped back. Brian Herta passed him for 3rd spot. Michael's now in 4th spot.
He definitely slowed just past the pit entrance, and Herta went rocketing by.
That usually indicates that he had a gear problem, like he might have missed a gear. It just takes, they lose a little bit of that momentum, and they've gotten back up, or he had the valve dump off. He's dropping back a little bit. Seems to be okay here.
There's Bobby Rahal behind him. There is Rahal's camera looking ahead to Michael Andretti in 4th. Mauricio Gugelmin.
You know what's interesting? I'm sorry, Bob. What's interesting is, of course, we've talked about Honda. Now Mercedes coming back. But the first 2 cars, and it was the first 3 until Michael dropped back. Now he's trying to get that spot back, looking inside Brian Herta. They're all powered by Fords.
Brian Herta runs just ahead of Michael Andretti, with whom you ride. Jan Bikas can tell us more on his situation.
Yes, I can. You saw that move on the restart. That's because Brian Herta has more confidence for 2 reasons. One is because his teammate Bobby Rahal was able to drive alongside him during the caution and tell him there was no damage. Then the crew radioed to him, you can fix your loose condition by using the weight jacker inside the car. He jacked some weight, he has more confidence, and that helped on the restart.
Like a fighter pilot and his wingman, Bobby was able to help his young protege out. Now Michael Andretti coming right up on Herta's gearbox.
I'll tell you what, Michael lost there at the restart. Brian may have a lot of confidence right now, but Michael seems to be pushing him pretty hard in all those corners. Drop back a little bit here on the straightaway.
Now Bobby Rahal attacks, but he can't get it done before the first turn.
Michael seems to be pretty slow on the straightaway.
Through turn 3. Now the run through the trees down to turn 5. A pair of victories for Michael Andretti at this track in 1990 and 91. And Bobby Rahal definitely looking for a way past.
Yeah, but Michael's blocking him. He went to the inside. I think Michael's got some kind of a problem. He just went down the inside to protect that line. You know, he didn't want to let Bobby. If Bobby's going to pass him, he said, you're going to have to go around me on the outside. That's pretty tough. That corner's only 59 miles an hour at the maximum, so.
Rahal is behind Herta. There's Jimmy Vasser watching all of this go on just ahead of him.
Jimmy's driving a pretty conservative race, but don't forget he's got Al Unser Jr. right behind him, so he can't be too aggressive. He doesn't want to make a mistake and get taken out, but he also's got to keep little Al, who's right there, just went through the corner behind him.
11 laps complete of 50 scheduled here at Road America as they flash down through the kink down to Canada Corner. So named because supposedly the first man to go off at that corner when this track was built back in the mid-1950s was from Canada. His name is lost to history, but his nationality has given the corner a name.
You see right there, that's Greg Moore, but just in front of him is Andre Ribeiro right there on your screen right now, who's gone from 18th to 8th spot. He has really taken advantage of everything that's gone up and seems like he's moving up awful fast.
Tasman teammates really did seem lost early in the weekend. They were down at the bottom of all the timesheets. It appears that Andre Ribeiro has got the combination down, and he is on a charge.
And Bob, what we're seeing right there, we're on board with Michael Andretti, but just in front of him, who's made the pass, is Bobby Rahal. He's moved up a spot. Michael's losing ground pretty fast. Now he's got Jimmy Vasser right behind him as well. See him get sideways coming out of there? He must be having trouble with those tires, putting the power down.
There's Al Unser Jr. running just behind Jimmy Vasser. Michael Andretti just ahead, and he's having to work those front tires as well.
That is a tricky corner. It's almost flat out in 4th gear through there, and you got to have it exactly right.
17 points separate Jimmy Vasser from Al Unser Jr. after the events at Mid-Ohio a week ago, in which Unser Jr. went off on the last lap of the race and missed a golden opportunity to stay right in the thick of the hunt for the PPG championship. But it's nowhere near over. Just 17 points can go away very quickly.
Man, that is a pretty view there. It's such a beautiful racetrack. Such a great racetrack to climb. Now they're heading up right now. We're on board. Jimmy Vasser's going to go up 163 feet from that corner to the start-finish line, which is just over this next hill.
You see the numbers on Jimmy Vasser. Presently shown in 6th spot, the highest placed Honda-powered and Firestone-tired car in the field. Heavy traffic now. Unser looked down the inside, thought better of it, dropped back behind Vasser, with Andretti just ahead.
Don't forget, Bob, when they make a pass, it's got to be clean. They've got championship on their mind. They cannot make a mistake and take themselves out of the race.
Out with just 3 races remaining, including today's Texaco Havoline 200, and we'll have all of them for you here on ESPN. The action continues. We'll be back live to Road America, getting close to that pit window. Welcome back to Road America, where we've had a couple of dramatic twists from high overhead. There is the car of Greg Moore, who just went into the wall on the fastest part of the racetrack and scuttled down it into the runoff area down at Canada Corner, where he finally came to a stop. Now let's take a look at what happened. This is Greg Moore's.
They're coming down to the fastest part of the track. You'll see him in the Canada Corner. Look in the back of your screen. He's in there. He tried to get around Ribeiro on the outside. I don't know if he touched, but he got on the grass. Oh, he just missed him. Just missed Ribeiro. Look at that. And then there, look at this. Upside. Oh my gosh, that's Davy Jones upside down. How did you get upside down?
He is under the bridge, up the hill from Canada Corner at turn 13. Now the report from the corner is that he is talking to the corner workers. You can see him moving around, but he is pinned under that car, it appears.
We don't know what's going on, but they've got to get somebody there with a fire extinguisher because they could be dripping out. They seem to be calm. No fluids are coming out. He just seems to be moving the tires away. I think Davey, I don't know, he must have, see, he's moving right there by his foot, in the lower left. There's Greg Moore. He's obviously okay.
There you see his tire tracks coming straight across the apex at Canada Corner.
But we saw the advantage of that runoff area and that gravel pit, how much it slowed him down. In the old days, if that wall had been there, that'd have been a monumental accident. And this one appears to be. I mean, you get a car upside down like that, it stayed upside down. This is a pretty severe accident.
Safety crew is on the scene. Davy Jones in his first IndyCar start here since replacing Eddie Lawson in the Gallus car. And he is right in the middle of the track. There's Greg Moore down at Canada Corner watching the field go by. Let's see when Andre Ribeiro comes by.
If he signals to him with
Still shaking his head. Now watch the back of your screen. There's Moore right out on the edge.
He tries to get by. They made a darty move there. Couldn't tell if that was contact or if it was just his rear tire. Look, he's got a wheelie going there. He got it up. He must have flattened that tire. Now everybody behind there can't even see what's going on.
All they know is there is trouble ahead, but Moore got the car stopped safely in the gravel trap. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Yes, and Christian Fittipaldi is in, and they are going to be switching to the primary. He was very concerned, as we mentioned just a few minutes ago, about that optional tire making it the first stop, but he is in and out. What a great stop, and Michael got away at first.
Now they're trying to turn over Davy Jones's car.
I think what they're probably trying to do there, Bob, is they're getting it on his side. I don't know if they want to drop it just yet to get him out. If he's free and he can get out on that before they drop it on the ground, you don't want to do any damage to him when they lay it down. But you see everybody went over there. They're stabilizing the car. I think they're just trying to get him out.
Jan Beekes.
Yes, both Team Rahal entries are down here on pit road. And you may say, well, why the heck are they here so late? That's because both Bobby Rahal and Brian Herta, by the way, who just did 11.49 second stop, they came into the pits when it was closed. But the team claims they did not tell us it was closed until after we were already on pit road. So therefore they came in, they let them go straight past their pits. They did not do service. The crew believes neither Rahal nor Herta will be penalized because they did no service on the car. However, they're way back in the order now because of that miscue.
Yeah, Jan, one of the things, the problems here with Elkhart Lake, of course, is that the entrance to the pit is down at the bottom of the hill. You cannot see the starter stand there, and they've got to come up the hill before they'll see those double yellows. See where the entrance to the pits is right to the right? They got to climb that blind hill. He couldn't have seen it. I think that's a fair call.
Well, Dennis Swan is in his first start as the chief steward designate on the PPG IndyCar Series, and he's had a busy Sunday thus
He
far.
has had a busy time of it. The other thing that I noticed in those pit stops, there's so much going on right now, was that Michael Andretti got out of the pits in front of Christian Fittipaldi.
Cleanup continues as Greg Moore walks up the hill toward the scene of Davy Jones's wreck. They have got the car over. They're working with Jones, and they've brought a record to move the car away. There you see them working on the accident scene. We'll step away for a moment and return to a dramatic Texaco Havoline 200 at Road America. Stay with us. Back live at Road America, you see the accident scene from Davy Jones about to be cleared up, but we are still under a full course caution. And the best news of all is that Davy Jones appears to be just fine. Highlights of the day in motorsports are coming your way on ESPN2 on RPM tonight, and we've got plenty to talk about with this race alone. But Kenny Mayne and company will also have the NASCAR GM Goodrich Dealer 400 from Michigan International Speedway, and we understand it is now raining at the IRL race at Loudon, New Hampshire. What hasn't happened today in motorsports? You'll get it all on RPM tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on the Deuce.
We're fortunate to have a monitor in our pit, so we were able to see what actually transpired from television perspective anyway, but I haven't talked to him yet, but he appears to be okay, and that's the important thing.
Unfortunately, it's a long hike back. You guys may be torn down, packed up, and ready to go by the time he makes it.
Yeah, it is quite a ways back there. As long as he's okay, that's the important thing.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep.
I guarantee one thing, he will be frustrated when he comes back. He took a long look back up that straightaway as if to figure out what had happened. That's Greg Moore's situation. Now Jan Bikas, what can you tell us?
Well, you know what? Sometimes you can learn things from the radio communications between the drivers and the crews. According to Robbie Gordon, according to Walker Racing, he believes that Andre Ribeiro made contact and actually put off Greg Moore. That's Robbie Gordon's opinion from down here on pit road. Now, we had all kinds of things going on here as far as action on the track, work on pit road. Al Unser Jr. picked up all kinds of spots because they made a very quick stop, no changes on the car. However, Mauricio Gugelmin came in, they got the fuel nozzle stuck, and he lost 4 or 5 positions. So everything breaking loose down here on pit road. And according to Robbie, Andre is the man who caused it.
All right, thank you, Jan. For Greg Moore, his 6th DNF of the year. And speaking of Robbie Gordon, as you may have heard earlier today, he has announced that he will go to Winston Cup action next year after finishing as runner-up in the International Race of Champions, and that is a surprising move indeed. There is Robbie Gordon. He has had a very down year with Walker Racing. Now he will make his move to Winston Cup. Danny, you had a chance to talk with Robbie earlier today.
Well, I did, and I asked him about the IRL because the rumors that are floating around, of course, is that he's going to run an IRL team and do some races, particularly Indy. I know Robbie wants to go to Indy, and he's been an avid fan of that place, and he wants to get back there, but he wouldn't comment. He said that's not true at the moment, but I think we'll have to wait and hear from him a little bit later on that one. But the other thing is with the Winston Cup Championship, he's got a pretty full dance card with that. He's got, what, 32 events that he's got to take care of.
I think Robbie's exact words were, that sounds like a great idea when you asked him that. Now let's take another look at Greg Moore's situation from Mark Blundell's onboard camera. Moore up ahead.
Just see, he gets on that dirt. Boy, Mark's had to back off here. He doesn't know what he's going to do. So he's waiting for Greg to go someplace. You couldn't really tell from that whether he actually made contact or not.
Well, it certainly led to an interesting leaderboard as the pit stops continue and we get set to go green. Zanardi back up front with P.J. Jones in Dan Gurney's All-American Racers Eagle Mark V. Just behind him, we are green once again.
And look at that on the inside. Al Jr., Michael, Christian Fittipaldi, who lost that lead under the pit stop. He won't be very happy about that.
Keep in mind, all of this has serious implications for the points championship as you watch Paul Tracy making, gosh, I'm losing count, 4 pit stops to this point.
I think he's done more pit stops almost than laps. He's been in there a lot. I think he's way down in 23rd spot. Look at this on board. Christian's taking a look to get inside of his teammate. Oh, they go in there. They're not going to give up. Side by side. But Christian's got him. That was a good piece of driving on both guys' part there. That was as close a racing as you're going to get, but Christian got through it clean.
That moves Christian up into the 3rd spot and drops Michael Andretti to 4th as the field comes streaming down the hill. Andre Ribeiro just behind Michael Andretti, and now we have a slow-moving car. That's Roberto Moreno.
This is an escape road down here at the end of turn 5. He's weaving his way around there. He can join the track, but if something's broken on the car, he'll stop there and get a tow back up the pit road, or inside the pit road, the paddock road, I guess I should say, to his garage.
It's been quite a weekend for the Peyton Coyne racing team. Walter Payton, of course, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in South Bend, Indiana yesterday, but he is here this weekend. Robbie Gordon on the charge, goes by Andre Ribeiro.
Boy, it almost looked like Ribeiro had a problem there, the way he just kind of let him go on the inside.
Lift it would be for the Walker Racing team if Robbie Gordon can get a good finish today. Now there's Alex Zanardi, who has opened up a huge lead as you see him flashing by the pits. That bird's eye view provided by the new Miller Eagle. The Miller Eagle airplane being tested by Miller Brewing right there as a way of providing fans new views of their favorite races and other sporting events. And at times he's going to be hard-pressed to stay up with these Indy cars on this track. Look at them rocket along through the trees down to turn 5. Spectacular racetrack is Road America. In fact, like that other Wisconsin sports treasure, the Green Bay Packers, it's not owned by a single entity. There are 2,300 outstanding shares of this racetrack owned by some 200 plus shareholders, the largest of which is the Chicago region of the Sports Car Club of America, from which organization a lot of the corner workers and turn marshals come. And look at Al Unser Jr. up into 2nd spot. Earlier today, Roger Penske said, we are racing Jimmy Vasser for the points championship. And right now, Al Unser Jr. is in a good position to do that.
Well, I got to tell you, at the moment, Al Unser Jr. is in position 2, and Jimmy Vasser is way down the field in 16th spot. That's out of the points. And if we had Gilles de Ferran's way, they black flagged Al Zanardi and penalized him, give Al the thing, we'd have a championship race again.
Oh my goodness, imagine what Vancouver is going to be like when we get there. Al Unser Jr. with a car he said has been very difficult to figure out on the high-speed road courses this year, but there is his progression through the field, helped by these yellow flags, no doubt, but given credit, he is racing hard for that championship.
And Al Unser Jr. has finished second here, I think, quite a few times in a row. I think he's been the last couple of times in a row, he's been in second. He's finished second quite a few. He's very good around here, and he's one of those guys that can carry a car.
4 second-place finishes here at Road America for Al Unser Jr. He has yet to climb to the top step of the podium. Let's get an update on Davy Jones now.
Yes, and we're with Rick Gallis, a very concerned Rick Gallis, the car owner for Davy Jones. He just came back here under his own power. He first gave you an update of what happened and then went into the medical center. How did he tell you that unfolded?
Well, there was a lot of dirt and stuff. I think when Greg got off and did his deal, and then Tracy got off through a lot of dirt, and he got loose, and it caused him to go sideways, and then he tried to overcorrect, ended up in the sand trap, and then next thing he knew, he was upside down. And but he's fine. He just you know, he's doing just fine. Just mad at himself or mad at whatever. But it was just one of those deals.
And they do have a neck brace on him. Complaining of any neck pain at all?
No, I think that's just be careful, and that's we got great doctors here and great medical people, and unfortunate for us, we had a long day, so. We'll do better next week or whenever we go.
Very relieved, Rick Gallis. Thank you, Rick. Bob?
Thank you, Jan. You ride with Mark Blundell, presently shown in 7th spot. There's a look at the running order with 19 laps complete here at Road America, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Stay with us. Back live at Road America. The race is still underway, but there is a full team meeting of the Pac West operation at Canada Corner.
I got to tell you, these guys made contact. I couldn't believe it. And what happened, look at this. Now he comes down. That's Mark Blundell on the inside. Tries to go inside, makes contact slightly, runs a little wide. Oh, and Mauricio tried to take advantage of it and got up the inside of Ribeiro, clipped him, and ran over and hit his teammate Blundell. All because of that. Interesting, last year, Mauricio and I went out together. We made contact at turn 1 when he spun there. I don't think I want to be a teammate.
Let's
on
watch.
board with, Ribeiro was a little slow out of the kink. Blundell dives down the inside, gets through okay, runs a little wide. Little contact, nothing big, accelerates. Oh, and there Mauricio comes into vision there where he clipped across the front of Ribeiro. He was taking advantage of both there, going slow and tight through here. Now look, Mauricio tried to dive up the inside. These guys look like they maybe made just a little, yeah, you just saw it move the front of his car, of Ribeiro's car, the second car. Mauricio tries to take advantage. Ribeiro comes back, clips him. Boy, he almost got him up on the air a little bit there. Spun him around. What a day we are having.
Another incident of wheel-to-wheel contact, and that means someone goes up in the air. Here's the view from Blundell's car once again as they're beginning to climb the hill. Here comes his teammate across his bows, and bang.
And Blundell had to be thinking, where did he come from? I didn't pass him. I was in front of him. I just passed Ribeiro. Unbelievable.
Well, Andre Ribeiro, it appears, is also out of the race. He's standing by with Jan Bikas.
Yes, and that initial contact that you saw between the Pac West machine and Andre Ribeiro, that suspension damage up on the right front turned out to be terminal. Now, it looked like you knew he was coming. You gave him room, but then it all broke loose.
Yeah, Blundell did pass me. I tried to recover the position because he probably have a missed gear, but I didn't see Gugelmin. I didn't know Gugelmin was there, so we had to touch.
Now tell me, earlier, Greg Moore went off the course. We had reports you may have had contact with him. Is that the case?
No, we never had contact. He probably put the car on a position that he would never pass me. It's that place of the track is a position where you have to go wide, and I didn't see him.
Now, I understand he was shaking his fist at you when he had the opportunity to see you and go by. I know you guys have had contact in the past. So your view is that he tried to pass you in a place you were not taking a defensive position?
No, that place is not a place to pass. Definitely not. You can pass at the end of the straight on the braking, but not there. So unfortunately, he made a mistake.
Now tell me, here's the big question. This race has been breaking loose ever since the green flag. People running into each other, all kinds of problems. What do you think is going on? Obviously, in this particular incident, you feel someone came in, you gave them room, there was contact, but there's a lot of very aggressive driving and people not giving each other room, it looks like.
Well, the thing is, the track is very, very slippery, very, very difficult out there. So I don't think it's a problem with drivers, but it's very difficult to drive out there now.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jan. For Mauricio Gugelmin, his 5th DNF of the year. For Mark Blundell, his 3rd, and only his 1st since the Milwaukee Oval back in June. And of the top 10 men in points, the 10 men with a shot at the PPG Cup and that $1 million bonus, 3 are now out of the race. Gilles de Ferran, Andre Ribeiro, and Greg Moore.
I'll tell you, this has been a wild race. There hadn't been much rhythm going. I mean, it seems like every time the race starts to get into some form of rhythm, something happens. We get a shuffle around in the pits, and these have been pretty big accidents around here. Of course, it's such a fast track. There's so little downforce in these cars, and they're all trying to make something happen. They're trying to score those points.
With that championship out there, perhaps a touch of desperation. The race continues, and we'll be back live for more from Road America. Stay with us. The Texaco Havoline 200 from Road America is being brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser, the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By Restore, manufacturers of innovative products for your car and truck. And by Honda, who offers an impressive family of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. From high overhead, welcome back to an interesting day at Road America, but there's more great racing coming on ESPN. The NASCAR Winston Cup cars will take to the most spectacular half mile in the world, Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee, for the Goodies Headache Powder 500. Saturday, August 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Bob Jenkins and the gang will be in Bristol for the Goodies Headache Powder 500. Here at Road America, we are once again under a full course caution after an event marred by yellow flag after yellow flag. Let's get down to the pit lane.
And Bob, you talk about a race with no rhythm. Now there is speculation that Alex Zanardi, who just pitted under that caution, he may have come in when the pits were closed. There is discussion between IndyCar officials and Ganassi, and now we're being told that that has been confirmed. The pits were in fact closed. So when the pits are reopened, which will be when we get a green flag, Zanardi will have to come back in and have a stop and go. Things just not hitting here in the rhythm. Ganassi now with Zanardi is going to go way back.
All right, thank you, Jan. As you see the cars on the racetrack, the running order now: Al Unser Jr. leads the race over Christian Fittipaldi. Michael Andretti is 3rd, Robbie Gordon 4th, Adrian Fernandez 5th, followed by Stefan Johansson, Bobby Rahal, Alex Zanardi, the man we were just talking about, in 8th, Scott Pruitt 9th, Parker Johnstone rounds out the top 10. Raul Boesel, Jimmy Vasser, Brian Herta, Juan Manuel Fangio, P.J. Jones, and Max Papis are the cars all on the lead lap. 1st through 16th, Paul Tracy is in 17th, a lap down. Marty Reed.
Yeah, we're down here with Mark Blundell. Mark, first off, you okay?
I took a bit of a knock. We hit the barrier pretty hard, and Mauricio did as well. So,
take us through what happened.
Well, you know, we went by the inside of Rivera. In fact, the guy made a big mistake coming out of the 6-gear right-hander. Went wide. I pushed down the inside of him. I had to ride the brake behind him because he was blocking that badly. Went down the inside. The guy was behind on the left-hand side. The next thing I know, Mauricio obviously crept up the inside, and he must have turned in because Mo came across my front end and took me out as well. But the guy wants to learn how to race. I mean, you know, you can drive, but he doesn't know how to race. He took more out. I was right behind. You know, this track is a fantastic circuit. It's not very safe, and there's no room for margin for error. I mean, like it's like an oval.
I have a feeling, guys, the next drivers' meeting is going to be awfully lively. Thanks, Mark.
I agree with you there, Marty. Interesting to hear him say that he thought Ribeiro took Moore out when they got close together and Moore went off back on the straightaway leading into Canada Corner.
But one of the things you got to remember, particularly when you're running at those speeds, right where Moore's accident was, you're still doing almost 200 miles an hour in there. You've got to respect where the other guy is. You just can't move around and think this is my track and chop a guy. If the guy puts a wheel in the grass, that's as much as hitting him, because if his wheel goes in the grass, it's going to spin the car. And we saw the same thing with Zanardi and Gilles de Ferran at the beginning. Zanardi came across. Gilles de Ferran has nowhere to go. You got to give him that space. That's part of driver etiquette. You know, you're still racing out there, and it's as much their responsibility to look after the other guys as it is themselves.
Now we're being told by timing and scoring that Alex Zanardi, a moment ago I told you he was 8th, but because of that pit violation that Jan Bikas described, he is going to the back of the line. And there you see Zanardi. Meanwhile, Marty Reed is standing by with the other half of the Pac West team.
Yeah, we're down to Mauricio Gugelmin. Mo, first off, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It was a pretty big hit, but not a very good day.
Mark Blundell was not too complimentary of Andre Ribeiro. Take us through from what happened in your perspective.
Well, basically, they were fighting for a position. Andrea went wide. Mark got him. On the meantime, I made my apex a lot early, and I had more momentum. I got both covered, and Andrea just turned on me. When he turned on the back of my car, sent my car over Mark, and it's just, there's a lot of people out there that not really paying attention to what they're doing right now.
Mauricio Gugelmin, he's out of this one.
Out indeed. And of course, all these crashes impact the points championship and that $1 million championship bonus. Andre Ribeiro and Greg Moore, by dropping out of the race, are eliminated from those list of 10 drivers. Here are the standings right now with 23 of 50 laps complete, approaching the halfway mark in this race. But perhaps more important is the championship picture. Once again, 10 drivers came into this race with a shot at the title. Now, if points were awarded based on present position, this is the way they would look. Al Unser Jr. taking a 3-point lead over Jimmy Vasser, with Alex Zanardi 3rd, Christian Fittipaldi 4th, followed by Michael Andretti, and the rest as you see there.
And Bob, something interesting there. Not only would he take the lead, and of course it would be his first win of the year if he was to win from this position, and there's a lot of racing left to go, but also what it would do would put Zanardi right in the hunt to get at Jimmy Vasser.
So it appears that our championship group of 10 may be cut to perhaps as few as 6, with 2 races to go at Vancouver and Laguna Seca. The green flag waves as Al Unser Jr. leads the field over the brow and across the start-finish line. Good to see little Al out front.
He hasn't been out there a lot this year, and I know he's got to be pumped up right now. He's going to be driving that thing awful hard. But the guy that also has got to be worried about the situation is Jimmy Vasser, who's back there in 11th spot. He's got to know that little Al's up in front. That championship is slipping away from him at the moment.
Only the 3rd race this year that Al Unser Jr. has led. Of course, he has not scored a victory, but he remains in 2nd place, and at this juncture in position to take the lead in the points championship. Parker Johnstone going down the inside of Scott Pruitt. Working the throttle through turn 6. Downhill run now through Hurry Downs. And a fast right-hander, and even steeper downhill to the left-hander that leads to the carousel.
Bob, we've had 3 yellows so far today, and they've been pretty long ones. That's also helped their fuel consumption. They'll be able to run these cars a lot richer than they would if this was an all-green race. And also, one thing that happened to Jimmy Vasser yesterday in qualifying, he put a set of tires on, went out and scuffed them in, made a qualifying run, took them off, put another set of tires on, ran the rest of qualifying. At the end of that qualifying, those tires were blistering on the rears. So if they do a long run, and as you see in the shot, the sun's coming back out. If they do a long run, he might have more tire problems. He doesn't need to drop any further to the back.
Bobby Rahal trailing Adrian Fernandez as they go up the hill. Ooh, Rahal has to juke out from behind him. Fernandez going as quickly as we might expect. They are wheel to wheel as they flash by the pits. Robbie Gordon just ahead.
Bobby Rahal, of course, is going to get him there on the inside.
And with that, Rahal moves into the 5th spot. Keep in mind, he has been 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. But in 14 previous races here at Road America, Bobby Rahal has yet to win.
And Stefan Johansson's taking a look at getting past Fernandez as well. He is right behind his gearbox. Look, he's trying to go down the inside. Fernandez says, buddy, that's my spot.
All this at the halfway mark of the race. 25 laps complete. And 6 times in the 14 previous runnings of this race, the leader at the halfway mark has gone on to win the race. But if you're into numerology, only 3 times previously has the winner of this race gone on to win the series championship. There's Stefan Johansson's numbers as he charges forward. He was very quick in morning practice yesterday before final qualifying, but then somehow seemed to lose the handle in qualifying and was nowhere near where he thought he should be.
I think some of that can come from the fact that if you got a setup that you need those tires to be working, when they do that final warm-up in the morning, it's cool, runs at 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and then of course qualifying's at the heat of the day. A lot of people seem to fall off when that track temperature comes up.
Adrian Fernandez, who won the tragedy-marred race on the streets of Toronto, Canada, leading Stefan Johansson in the Alumex-sponsored car for Tony Bettenhausen.
Bob, a guy that's also having a good run who seems to have taken advantage of stuff and had an early off is Robbie Gordon, who seems to be the man in the news at the moment. And he's having one of his best runs of late, running in 4th.
We see Parker Johnstone, whose team, Bricks Racing Comtech Motorsports, did no testing at this racetrack. A modestly budgeted operation. They have had great results this year, but the lack of testing has hurt them this weekend at Road America. He's running 2 positions behind Adrian Fernandez in 6th. Fernandez, the highest ranked Honda-powered car in the field right now, behind Mercedes, 3 Fords, and another Mercedes in the person of Bobby Rahal. Let's get down to the pit lane.
We just saw Paul Tracy come through and drive through the pit lane. The reason is that is the 1996 version of a stop and go. You do not actually have to come in and come to a complete stop. The reason? A penalty for passing Max Papis on the restart. That's also new for 1996. You may not improve your position until you cross the start-finish line on a restart. And with the EDS timing and scoring, all they have to do as far as the chief steward is concerned is look at the monitor and see if anyone improved position.
Thank you, Jan. The upper left, you see the running order as we begin counting down the laps into the second half of this race. Points leader Jimmy Vasser back in 11th place.
I think that is a very good rule because sometimes they just had the 1 lap or the stop and go was a pretty severe penalty. I think that was a good call because some penalties aren't quite as severe as others. I'll tell you, Dennis Swan's had, who's our new chief steward today, he's had a full day of it so far, and we're only halfway into this race.
Dennis Swan in his maiden voyage, so to speak, as the chief steward of the race. As chief steward designate, he has been working qualifying throughout the year. So he is very experienced, and he has really had a workout today.
Dennis Swan, of course, was a crew chief for the Doug Schertzen team, and he was my crew chief my first full year in IndyCar racing. Won 3 races with him. Great crew chief, and he also had Al Unser Jr. He won a lot of races with him. He's very experienced and very knowledgeable.
Al Unser Jr. out front in the Penske with Mercedes power and Goodyear tires. Down in the pit lane, there's more on the Davy Jones story after that huge crash under the bridge at turn 13. Here's Jan Bikas.
And the really good news is not only is he almost breaking a smile, but you no longer have the neck collar. You get out checked okay in the medical center?
Yeah, you know, they just want to be real cautious, and, you know, anytime that you get upside down or have an impact, they want to make sure that everything's okay. It's just unfortunate what happened, because I think that we really started coming around with the balance of the car, and I felt that I had a good race car, and we were good on the fuel, and everything was just starting to settle down. It was just unfortunate what happened.
Now tell me, Rick Ellis told us a little bit about it, but how did it actually get caught in the sand trap and flip over?
Well, actually, there was yellows in the corner, and there was a lot of dust, and the car in front of me had gone off and came back on, and it dragged a lot of dirt onto the surface. And I'd known that there was a full course yellow, but you've got to catch up to the pack. And when I went through the dirt, it just broke traction, and it kicked me off. You know, I thought I saved it, but I got into the grass, and the rear touched the wall, and then it smacked the front into the wall. And as the car rode down the wall, I went head on into the tire barrier, and that just slowly rolled me over.
Now, I assume that you know and appreciate that you're a very lucky individual today.
Well, last time I was here, I ended up on my head as well. So, you know, I want to come back and win here. I don't particularly like ending up upside down. But, you know, I just got to say that Delco Electronics, Fatab, and Unititle will get there.
Davy Jones, thankfully, he's fine, guys.
All right, thank you, Jan. I remember that crash Davy's talking about in a BMW prototype in the IMSA GTP series. Now, here's one of the All-American Racers Toyotas. That is P.J. Jones, who is parked. This is just at the exit to the carousel on the backside of the racetrack, about as far from the pits as he could possibly be.
Yeah, but Bob, that's a very dangerous spot. I mean, he should have just pulled it off there. I know he wants to get a toe back, but you should have pulled it off. That's a dangerous spot for people racing, and I'm sure that IndyCar is going to have a word. Look how fast those guys are going. They're going by him there at 180 miles an hour right on the outside. I mean, if he had pulled just off the grass, they still could have towed him back.
Well, there he sits.
And that can't be a very comfortable feeling with those guys going by. Look at this. Michael Andretti is right behind Christian Fittipaldi for second spot.
And leader Al Unser Jr. just ahead. We'll take this opportunity to step aside for a moment, but there's plenty of racing still to come. Live from Road America, Al Unser Jr. out front at the Texaco Havoline 200. Back live at Road America, Bob Varsha, Danny Sullivan with you. You are a passenger on our Honda Helicam high above Road America. Down in the pit lane, Marty Reed and Jan Beekes covering the pit action, and there has been plenty through the first half of this 50-lap race. You see the jammed parking lots, fans almost all the way around the circuit. There are areas into which spectators are not allowed, and now we have an official estimate of the crowd, 85,000 strong, and that is a new record for this race.
And you know what's interesting? We've had all this action, which we've been talking about, yet at the front of the field, we're having a great race. Al Unser Jr., Christian Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, they're all running right there, almost nose to tail. They got a couple of car lengths between each one of them.
You ride with Bobby Rahal in fourth position right now. He got around Robbie Gordon a moment ago and heads into the carousel with leader Al Unser Jr., Christian Fittipaldi, and Michael Andretti all ahead of him. Jan Beekes is standing by in the pit lane.
Yes, and we're with Greg Moore, who's made his way back to his trailer, had a chance to change. Tell us your interpretation of when you and Andre got into trouble on the back straight.
Well, I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, Andre, he passed me pure and simple in the back straightaway, and a couple laps later, he got real sideways coming out of the carousel. You know, I had a good run on him going down through the kink. I did the kink flat, and I got completely beside him. And then it's sort of a nice long turning straightaway, and instead of turning, he just put me straight in the fence about 190 miles an hour.
Now, I talked to him, and his interpretation was that Greg tried to pass me in a place he wouldn't try and pass. Is that a similar place to where he passed you earlier?
Well, no, it's not a similar place to where he passed me, but I mean, all weekend everyone's been running side by side through there. I mean, if you're in a slow lap, you let somebody by on that side because it's the inside for Canada corner there, and you know, he just didn't want to let me by, obviously, and he just put me straight into the fence.
Now, I know after Mid-Ohio, there's a little bit of bad blood because he feels that you came in and hit him at Mid-Ohio. Do you actually feel that he did that on purpose to squeeze you across?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, the guy just must be an idiot to be doing that at 190 miles an hour. It's something you don't do. I mean, you know, I talked to Mark Blundell. You know, I mean, Andre's out there on a mission today, and you know, it's too bad that things like this happen for the whole players team because maybe we're running strong. We were just following Al around, and now I look, and Junior's leading the race. So I think we could have been there.
He said the track was slick. Is that correct? Is it slick offline?
No, not really. I mean, it was slick where I was in the fence, but no, I mean, the track seems it's pretty good.
Greg Moore, he went for a wild ride, and as you can see, big difference of opinion down here on pit road.
It was ever thus. Al Unser Jr. It's been 15 races since Al Jr. has won a race. Right now, he is out front with a long way to go in Wisconsin. Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the Texaco Havoline 200 live here on ESPN. The first of 3 races to wind up the '96 season, and they were all coming your way on ESPN. With the championship to be crowned somewhere down the road, it won't happen today. There is race leader Al Unser Jr., followed by Christian Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti, the Newman Haas teammates. Points leader Jimmy Vasser is back in 10th spot, and so if the points were to be awarded at this moment, Al Unser Jr. and Jimmy Vasser would be tied for the championship.
Bob, there's a whole lot of racing left to go, but I think what's going to come up right now, when they make these pit stops, these are critical. These teams, Newman, Haas, and Penske, have got some of the best pit crews out there. These guys are spot on. But last time Christian Fittipaldi stopped, Michael Andretti got out in front of him. So this is going to be a critical spot. This race can be won or lost right here when they come in the pits.
Across from our announce position are the Newman Haas pits, and you can see the guys huddled like a basketball team before the tip-off. And you can imagine what they're saying to one another. We have to get this absolutely right.
Not only that, they know that there's an inter-team rivalry as well. Don't forget, they want to launch Michael from 3rd to 2nd, and Christian's guys want to keep him there, and they both are trying to beat Penske.
And on the last pit stop, which they made together, Michael's team got him out ahead of Christian. On the backside, the sound of these engines revving to 14,000 RPM and more, rattling off the trees, is absolutely mesmerizing. You can hear it from all the way to Elkhart Lake Village, a village of about 1,000 people, which once hosted races that ran around Elkhart Lake and through the village. When the fatal accidents came at Watkins Glen, another famous sports car street race, City Fathers decided perhaps what they needed was a purpose-built.
There they go. They're in the pits.
We go.
That's Christian right in front of them. So Christian will get in first. Michael will get there.
Marty Reed is in the Newman Haas pits.
Yeah, the thing that's going to be interesting is they are making absolutely no changes to Christian's car, but they may make a wing adjustment on Michael. He called in and said that he was going to, he had a push problem and he wanted to, but yes, so they're putting a full turn in the left front of the wing. Now it's a race to see who's going to get out first. Jan, they're on their way.
And Alex Jr. has all 4 tires. He's just waiting for the last bit of fuel. 14.79 seconds. Marty, what's going on down there?
Michael almost got hit going out of the pits. Vasser and Pruitt, all 3 came together. It was very close. I don't think anybody touched, but it was a wild moment.
Just as the Newman Haas teammates were leaving at full hammer, Scott Pruitt and another car, I didn't notice who it was, came into the pits. Michael Andretti got sideways, and people were leaping over the wall in every direction.
That was Jimmy Vasser. That was the championship point leader. They all came very close.
Now watch these pits. Michael gets out at 14.2, Christian 15.3. They leave essentially together.
Look at that.
There is Vasser. What a moment.
Oh, I'm telling you, that was close. And that's a very wide pit down there. They had like almost 3 abreast through there. Oh, I wonder how Michael's heart is right now.
I wonder what's being said on the radios right now.
Or what Jimmy's was, because he's still fighting for that championship.
Well, Michael's was the fastest of the 3 stops. Andretti, Fittipaldi, and Unser Jr. Let's take a look from Michael Andretti's onboard camera at the final moments of that pit stop.
Okay, he's anxious. You can tell this. He's getting ready to go. He's going to beat Christian. There he goes. He's trying to stand out. No. Oh, and he got there.
And Vasser almost collided with Christian Fittipaldi up ahead.
And you know what's amazing about all that is all those pit crew guys are standing out there while all this is going on, trying to give their driver the best possible pit stop. That was close.
Also down in the pit lane was Marty Reed.
Guys, I was out here, and when you asked what happened and what was said on the radio, well, I asked Kathy Lauterbach, who handles all the PR for the team. She says, I don't think I can repeat that.
35 laps complete now as you ride with Michael Andretti. Warming up the tires, getting back up to full speed. Jan Bikas has more on Robbie Gordon. Is that correct, Jan?
Yes, I do. Robbie Gordon came in, and the screaming you're hearing in the background is that Brian Herta just made his stop. We were running in between the 2 cars. It turns out that Robbie Gordon had a very long stop. The alternator had failed on the car, and they had to change the battery. So he came in, I believe, in 4th place. Now Robbie Gordon is totally out of it. 14th position.
Boy, I tell you, Derek Walker Racing, those guys cannot get a break. Every time they've got a good result going, something happens. Robbie's had a few offs, or they have something break like that. But you know what? Those guys will come back.
Absolutely. Derek Walker working hard for 1997 already, even though he will lose his driver Robbie Gordon to Winston Cup competition. Now from overhead, here is that Newman Haas pit exit once again. And the guy at the nose of the car has to make a split-second decision.
Oh.
This one almost went wrong.
Well, he's got to get the guy out. Don't forget, there is a speed limit in the pits. The maximum. Even in the old days, those guys used to come through as fast as they could. Then it was really dangerous. They got smart and got a pit stop in there.
One more look. Now watch for Jimmy Vasser when he comes in. There he is at the bottom of your screen. Watch how close he gets to the pit wall.
Yeah, but he was okay, and great piece of driving on Michael. Even if, look, he almost gets Christian there too. Oh, that was close. But the most he would have done there probably on the wall would have white-walled a tire, and he was changing them anyway, so it didn't really matter.
And Scott Pruitt, in the midst of all that, actually managed to make his pit stall in pretty good order. Adrian Fernandez.
Now, more than likely, that'll bring out a full course yellow, so all those pit stops, it'll bunch everybody back up, because usually when those guys are in a spot like that, if they can't pick them up and put them over the wall, he wants to get pushed out of there, but
not sure where that is. It may be down in Cadena Corner. For now, it's still being shown as a local yellow. No yellow flag from the flag stand, and we expect Alex Zanardi in the pits.
It looks like if they're going to pick him up like this, they're going to put him over the wall. That's a fairly slow corner there, and I think that's why they're making that judgment call, and it's at the end of the race. Dennis Swan told us earlier that if they could do it and keep it local, they would do that to keep the racing. He just lost it. He just spun it around going in there. That was all down to him. The track might be a little slippery there, but and look at that. One of those Gale forklifts. They have a special design so that they can pick those cars up. Interesting, Adrian Fernandez is still in the car. They're going to pick him up and put him over the fence.
They call it a Dynalift. It's a special attachment for the end of the forklift. You see it being used to pick up the car at 4 different points. The Gale company, who manufactures these front-end loaders and forklifts, is actually a Wisconsin company that has been working closely with Road America. They are now also a full IndyCar contributor.
I'd like to get one of those for my home. Those things they look like they'd be fun.
In comes Alex Zanardi, and Jan Bikas is there.
And he comes in very hot, but he still is able to stop it on the marks. Oh, I can see some blistering on the left rear tire. That tire is starting to blister. So remember, these guys started on the option tires, so they seem to be giving up a little. We got him on the watch, and he's out of here in 14.46 seconds. But boy, you can tell that he lost some grip there. That left rear tire really starting to lose. Oh man, you can see it. Really lost a lot of rubber on that option Firestone compound.
You called it, Danny, blistering. Always a danger, particularly on that left side.
Well, we're going to go full course yellow, so we're going to get the field all packed up again, and obviously they're going to try to get Adrian Fernandez back onto the track.
This yellow flag comes with 37 laps complete, 13 remaining. We'll be back with more from Road America. Back live at Road America, the Toyota safety car back on the track to pick up leader Al Unser Jr. and the field. We'll look for highlights of today's race and all of the day in motorsport on RPM tonight on ESPN2. Kenny Mayne coming your way at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Not only today's IndyCar race at Road America, but also the NASCAR news from Michigan and the IRL at Loudon, New Hampshire. They'll have it all on RPM tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Well, it's been a long and interesting day, and we've got a long way to go as you watch Al Unser Jr. out front behind the safety car. Hopefully it'll be a short one. They may get Adrian Fernandez started again or bring him back around. Let's get more from the pit lane now in Jan Bikas.
Well, Bob, the Ganassi crew, when we were watching that Zanardi pit stop, they were so excited by how fast they got it done. And as soon as he screamed out on the racetrack, the double yellows came here on pit road. They all hung their heads and knew that they now were going to be way out of position, because obviously you want to pit under yellow, you don't want to pit under green. Why did he come in? he's out of sequence because of the earlier contact and the change of the tires. He couldn't go another lap. He didn't have enough fuel. Zanardi now, unfortunately, got caught by the yellow. Marty?
Jan, you mentioned the blistering on the left rear of the Firestone. Well, let's take a look at Christian Fittipaldi's set. This is the primaries that both he and Michael Andretti are running, and all the way down, all four very still warm, but no blistering, no peeling of any kind. These tires look in great shape.
Well, I think we saw that over the weekend, and when Jimmy Vasser had that problem in qualifying yesterday, obviously right there, Robbie Gordon is obviously still having a problem. See, they're trying to probably change that battery again if that's what the situation was before. This yellow, what it does help is it'll make sure that everybody's now got enough fuel. They've got them leaned down right now where they're under yellow, conserving as much fuel as they can. When they go back racing, we're going to go back racing full rich. That means they're going to have maximum fuel, maximum power. This is going to be a race till the end.
Here's a look at our pit summary. Look at the positions they were in when they came in and went out. Al Unser Jr. got the slowest of the 3 leaders pit stops. He came out in 2nd place. Christian Fittipaldi dropped from 2nd to 3rd. Michael Andretti 3rd to 4th. Bobby Rahal came out in 7th position. Robbie Gordon in 15th. Of course, all that is changing as Gordon sits in the pits while the field comes by to put him another lap down. Look there at the huge crowd gathered here at Road America today for the 15th running of the IndyCars on this 4-mile circuit. Jan Bikus.
Robbie Gordon, as you mentioned, Bob, is sitting down here on pit road, but he's in the car because they are going to just change the battery again. Obviously, Robbie Gordon very, very upset. When he left here last time, he just put it on the revometer and just held it on the revometer all the way out. I'm not talking about speed control. I'm talking about leaving it in 1st gear, being so upset, you're just trying to blow the thing up. Then he came by here, what sounded like in 4th gear instead of 5th or 6th, with the thing on the revometer all the way down the straightaway. Right now, you can almost tell by his hand gestures that he's having more radio discussions with Derek Walker. A very upset Robbie Gordon.
Well, it's been that kind of a year for Robbie Gordon and the Walker Racing team. Meanwhile, the field goes by. There's Max Papis just coming around Hiro Matsushita. Frank Archiero, who owns that team, recovering from surgery in California. The team is thinking about you, Frank. We'll be back in a moment to Road America. Still under caution at Road America. Coming up next on ESPN after the IndyCars, the Senior PGA Tour final round coverage of the Northville Long Island Classic. Coming our way after our event here at Road America, and it's been an interesting day.
Interesting to say the least. Now, I know that Alex Zanardi team was complaining that the yellow came out, or they felt dejected that they came out, but you know, he was 26 seconds behind at that stage. He would have fallen to the back of the pack. He's now only about 3.5 seconds behind. He's got a chance to make up a lot of ground.
And of course, what we're talking about is points, precious points. Meanwhile, Jan Bikus has more on Robbie Gordon.
Yes, and we're team owner Derek Walker. Now, Derek, it looked like Robbie wanted to get out of the car, but it looked like you want him to stay in. And by the way he left, I don't think he's trying to save anything on that car. What's going on?
Well, he's a race driver. He's just trying to get back in the race, so he left as quick as he could to get back in because they're going to start a green here. No, we had a great track, great car today, but the engine's letting us down here, so we're really struggling with it. We're trying to make it to the end.
I know he's frustrated. It almost sounds like he's trying to blow the thing up. I mean, he's on the revometer constantly. Is it just that aggression of Robbie Gordon right now just taking over a little bit?
No, I think everybody's pretty frustrated, right? We're all on the limiter over here, so we're just trying to make it to the end. It's been a long day, and it's unfortunate we've got a good race car.
Now, we know that Robbie has made his announcement today about where he's going. When will we hear your announcement?
Well, we're going to make our announcement at Laguna Seca. It seems the right thing to do. It's the last race of the year, and we'll announce our plans there and you know, finish up the year and get on with it.
Well, we're getting ready to finish this one up. Let's get back to Bob.
Special diplomacy points to Derek Walker as we take the green with a restart on lap 41. 9 laps remaining here at Road America. There you see Alex Zanardi going inside Bobby Rahal.
I don't know how he can complain about that stop. Look where he is. He's got fresh tires and fuel. And you know, if he just pitted right now, he's got plenty of fuel. He's got that thing turned up.
You ride with Rahal. Through the trees, shadows growing long over Road America. Now Rahal planning to counterattack on Zanardi, who squirming hard under braking for turn 5. then hard on the gas as they turn left 90 degrees and go up and over the brow of the hill.
Bobby looked like he was sticking his nose in there to take a look, but that's a tough place to pass somebody, especially somebody fast.
These views from high overhead are from the new Miller Eagle airplane. Innovative new way Miller Brewing is testing, giving fans aerial views of auto races and other sporting events. Look at that, a Cessna Skymaster, and a great shot of Road America. Ooh, Robbie Gordon has turned it around.
That's the corner right before the carousel. He's obviously spun it. Watch this. He'll spin it around there again. Stop it. Now try to keep the engine going, and away we go.
Don't be standing behind him in that gravel. And he drops the clutch and takes off into the carousel.
I think Derek summarized it right. They're all on the rev limiter down there, and it is frustrating. I understand, Robbie, when you've got a great handling car and then the motor's not running good or you got an electrical problem, that's really frustrating.
The record for yellow flags at the Texaco Havoline 200 was set 1 year ago, 6. Today we have seen 5, including some very spectacular reasons for them. So Robbie Gordon will insert himself into a whole new form of racing next year on the Winston Cup Series. He's had some experience in those full-bodied 3,400-pound cars. Look at the points if the race ended now. A tie between Jimmy Vasser and Al Unser Jr. with Christian Fittipaldi in 3rd spot and Alex Zanardi 4th.
I'll tell you what, Christian Fittipaldi's been coming on strong. Listen to Robbie, he's going by there. His engine's sounding terrible there the way it's cutting out. I don't know why he wouldn't have stopped right then.
Meanwhile, up front, you ride with Christian Fittipaldi in 2nd place behind Al Unser Jr. Michael Andretti 3rd in line, and they are very close together. Points leader Jimmy Vasser runs back in 9th spot. You see the cars out of the race.
I'll tell you what's going through these guys' mind right there. Al Unser Jr. has not had a win in about 15 races. He needs those points, and Christian Fittipaldi has not had a win in IndyCar. So they got a little bit different agenda there, but Christian needs those points too. And he's got his teammate, Michael, right there behind him.
Climbing through Thunder Valley, under the bridge where Davy Jones came to rest upside down earlier in this race. Nobody leaving Road America. 8 to go as they cross the start-finish line, with Al Unser Jr. leading, looking for his first victory of 1996 and the first for the Penske team. Down into turn 1 they go. Fittipaldi 2nd, Andretti 3rd, Zanardi 4th, Ray Hall 5th, followed by Stefan Johansson, Brian Herta, Parker Johnstone, Jimmy Vasser, and Scott Pruitt. We'll be back with more live from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin in just a moment. The Texaco Havoline 200 from Road America has been brought to you by Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. By Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by Toyota Motorsports. Our minds are always racing. Welcome back live to Road America. You ride with Michael Andretti. Bob Varsha working with Danny Sullivan, Jan Bikas, and standing by in the pit lane, Marty Reed. Excuse me, Marty. Let's go to Jan Bikas.
All right, Bob, we're standing by with Robbie Gordon, who has finally got out of the car. I understand you wanted to get out earlier because you knew you had a terminal problem electrically. We've talked about the frustration with Derek. What's going through your mind now?
You know, it's really frustrating. You know, Walker Racing did a hell of a job. I mean, the car handled beautiful in the corners. This thing is such a pig on the straights. I mean, we can't even think about hanging in with these guys. We had a lot of speed on Ray Hall in every corner and every straightaway, just drive right on by me. It's unfortunate. We thought we could have got a victory here.
Now, for you, going to NASCAR, how important these last couple races?
Well, I think they're very important. I think I proved again that I can run the new cars up at the front. You know, I think the Ford engine was one of the reasons why I did choose to go to NASCAR, because I didn't think it'd be competitive next year.
Now, tell me, you were in a place where you could see the accident between Andrew Ribeiro and Greg Moore. How do you think that unfolded from your seat?
Those two guys need to wake up. I mean, both of them are driving like complete idiots out there. Adrian Fernandez, the other Tasman guy, he took me off. You know, these guys, they got to cool down. It's a long race, it's 50 laps, and they got to get their head on straight. I pulled up to both of those guys and I said, use your head, because they're blocking people like no tomorrow.
Okay, well, coming from Robbie Gordon, now tell me a little bit about the equipment. Some of the equipment today, like Michael Andretti, Christian Fittipaldi, with a similar package, obviously it's a Lola, but they're doing well today. Does that surprise you?
You know, I think we're okay. We got some good cornering speed here. I think they're handling real well also. Goodyear made some big improvements. They've caught Firestone definitely this weekend. You know, we're just down on the straightaways compared to the Hondas and Mercedes.
Thanks, Robbie.
That crackling sound you hear in the background is bridges being burned, I'm afraid. We'd like to extend our thanks to the good folks at Honda for the Honda Helicam that's been giving us great shots all year long, including these, as Al Unser Jr. and that white dot on the horizon leads the field at top speed through the carousel.
He looks like he's just edging it out a little bit, but did you notice that Bobby Rahal is closing in on Michael Andretti?
Now there's Raul Boesel going slowly. We had a report from one of the corners that he and Robbie Gordon touched, which led to Gordon's spin we saw earlier just at this part of the racetrack. Now Boesel is moving slowly. Barry Green's Brahma Sports team. Christian Fittipaldi has stopped.
Oh, and he's getting out of the car. He is frustrated.
From second place, Christian Fittipaldi walks away.
Look at that. He just walks away.
There is Paul Newman.
Look at that. You see that? He just, he's so frustrated. Can you imagine how Christian feels right now? He had one of the best results going this year.
Earlier this year, Michael Andretti, when he got by Christian to win in Detroit, said, don't you worry, Christian is going to win races. And he had a shot here today.
I think Christian needs to get maybe on the other side of that barrier where he's walking. That's a pretty fast part of the track.
There's Carl Haas.
He doesn't give us much, but Carl keeps those expressions. He's got to be frustrated, though. He's got a good second, third. Look at this.
Crossing the racetrack.
Right before Canada corner. I don't think that's a very smart spot to be walking like that right now. Get on the other side of that barrier. That's where Moore came down there. He'd take him right out. And there's still a lot of guys out there racing. Boy, you can tell that's just frustration right there. He doesn't care.
Well, in a form of motorsport I'm somewhat familiar with, Formula One, Christian Fittipaldi is about to become a lot lighter in the pocketbook after crossing the active racetrack. See the corner workers asking him to step over, and he does. Now here are the point situation. If the race ended now, Jimmy Vasser with a 2-point margin over Al Unser Jr., and that's because he moved up a spot when Christian Fittipaldi dropped out. As you watch Stefan Johansson presently in 5th position. A good run for him today. Johansson through turn 14, chasing Alex Zanardi for 4th place. We'll be back with the checkered flag coming shortly at Road America. There is Al Unser Jr. with Michael Andretti in 2nd place. Stay with us. The leaders flashing up the hill over the brow into the start-finish line. There will be 3 laps to go next time around in the foreground. Raul Boesel in the Brahma Sports Team Green machine pulls off. The car has finally expired. Al Unser Jr. flashes by in position to take his first victory of the season and jump right smack into the running for the PPG Cup once again. Don't forget, coming up next, Senior Golf from Jericho, New York. Final round coverage of the Northville Long Island Classic from Jericho, New York. Jim Kelly and Gary Koch standing by. We'll be getting to them as soon as possible after the checkered flag. As they go up the hill, let's go to Marty Reed in the pit lane.
Well, according to all the data that they're able to resource back here in the pits, they now think that it was an engine that let go as far as Christian Fittipaldi. Now what they're worried about is could the same problem be affecting Michael Andretti. Right next door is Raul Boesel. They have an ignition problem. That's what put them out.
There is Christian Fittipaldi, who cannot bear to look. He's looking off into the greenery that surrounds this 4-mile circuit while the racers run past him.
Well, of course, the frustration that he must be feeling, not only from driving his heart out all day, leading this race, but losing those points and how that's going to affect him in the championship. All of those things combined makes a long day. You just don't like to go out that late in the race with a great result in hand.
The order is Unser, Andretti, Rahal, Zanardi, and Johansson.
And of course, you know who's sitting at home, I assume, watching this, is his uncle, Emerson Fittipaldi, who we wish our best to, but he's got to be happy with Al Unser Jr., his teammate, leading the race, but a little bit dejected of what happened to his nephew, Christian Fittipaldi.
Well, at the beginning of the day, we wondered who would have the combination that would reign supreme at Road America. And wonder of wonders, it appears it is the somewhat unloved Penske chassis with Mercedes power and Goodyear tires.
The only thing that all four of us got right was Goodyear tires, because I don't think any of us picked Little Al or the Penske chassis, and I don't know if anybody picked the Mercedes. We had a couple Fords and a couple of Hondas in there, so we were off by the package. And as we said before, I think that's one of the things that makes IndyCar racing so exciting right now, is trying to get that combination right.
Al Unser Jr. has stood by and watched as his old friend and rival, Mikey Andretti, as he calls him, surpassed Little Al, first tied him and then passed him in most wins among active drivers on the PPG IndyCar World Series. Well, now Al draws a little bit closer to Mike.
And you know what? These top three guys, Little Al, Michael, and Bobby Rahal, are all driving their hearts out right now. They're driving as hard as they can right now, trying to close on the guy in front of them, or Little Al keeping everybody behind them.
Now there's something else to consider, and we've been talking about it if you followed our qualifying coverage on ESPN2, and that is the fact that every year but one in the 14 previous runnings of this race, the winner came from the first 5 positions. The exception being Hector Rebacki in 1982, who won from 9th position. White flag, 4 miles to go for Al Unser Jr., who started the day in 15th and has come all the way to the front.
And I don't believe, the history books will have to show, I don't think anybody started this IndyCar race from that far back, and looks like he's poised to win.
Well, with this victory, if in fact he takes it, Al Unser Jr. will clinch the IndyCar Nations Cup for drivers from the United States. So that much has been decided, but there are several championships still to come, and certainly oh, we have a huge wreck.
Oh, I think that's Parker Johnstone. Parker Johnstone, I don't know what happened.
That is in fact Parker Johnstone.
That car. 2 cars upside, I don't know what's going on. 2 cars upside down in a day.
We understand there may have been contact with Scott Pruitt. Let's see if we can take another look at what happened as Al Unser Jr. continues on his way. This is on the rundown to
No, that's Paul Tracy. That's Paul Tracy down the inside. Paul clips him right there at the back. Taps him. They're trying to get through. Slides it sideways. Looks pretty harmless. Whoa, and just dug in the grass. Just must have been enough of a lip there to catch it.
Meanwhile, Tracy.
No,
Al Unser Jr. That's the race leader, has lost the engine.
No.
Can you believe this?
Oh, no.
Within sight of the checkered
Just
flag.
coming up the hill.
There's Michael Andretti. There is the Penske pits. Roger Penske cannot believe what he is seeing, and perhaps neither can Michael Andretti, who takes the checkered flag of victory.
In sight of the flag. Unbelievable.
Now, corner workers are at Parker Johnstone's car. As you watch Al Unser Jr. and the smoking heap of his car, Parker Johnstone appears to be okay, and that is great news. What a dramatic finish to a day that has been full of the most amazing twists and turns as Michael Andretti comes through for his 34th career win, his 4th of the year, and the 5th of the year for Goodyear tires. There is Parker Johnstone being worked on by the medics. You see he's talking to them. Here's the view from his car as Paul Tracy comes up from behind.
You can tell he's just checking his rear view mirror. He's on the inside a little bit. Oh, he gets tapped there, throws it sideways. Oh, what a ride. What a ride.
Medic's holding his head. He'll be put into a neck brace, as was Davy Jones when he went over. And Jones explained that they do that as a precautionary measure. There is Mario Andretti. What a day for the Andretti family. Here are the final results of the Texaco Havoline 200. Michael Andretti with the victory, followed by Bobby Rahal and Alex Zanardi. Stefan Johansson with his best performance of the year for Bettenhausen Motorsports. Brian Herta in 5th position, and Jimmy Vasser, the points leader, in 6th spot. Scott Pruitt finishes 7th. As you look down through the rest of the results, Michael Andretti stops on the racetrack, no doubt out of fuel. Oh, he's stopping to pick up his teammate, Christian Fittipaldi, down in Canada corner. There you see the rest of the finish positions on a day filled with attrition. And so the Drivers' Championship takes another dramatic turn. It will go on to Vancouver, British Columbia on September 1st, a race you will see here on ESPN. Then, of course, the season finale at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, with manufacturers' titles and more still to be decided. This season is long from over. Christian Fittipaldi hitching a ride home. Here are the manufacturers' points. Honda with a 39-point lead over Ford Cosworth. It's not done yet. Let's get down to the racetrack and Marty Reed.
Yeah, we made the long trip down to the other end. It's got to be heartbreaking. What happened?
Well, Al said over the radio the engine let go right there in turn 12, so evidently it was catastrophic because we never saw anything on the telemetry. It's a shame. He drove a great race. We had a good car. As I said earlier, you know, you had to finish and we didn't.
The guys upstairs were describing it like a shuttle launch.
Well, it went off big time, but nothing we can do about that. Race over.
All right, thanks, Roger. Jan?
Well, Michael Andretti has made it to victory lane. He's here. He's going to take off the... Michael, can you in your wildest dreams think that this race would have worked out like this? It's the wildest one we've ever seen. What did you think when you saw the smoke from Al on the last lap?
I couldn't believe it. You know, I felt bad for Al because he did a good job. I don't know how. I told him in the beginning of the race that he'd be right there, and he was. But, you know, I guess I'll take it. There's been times when it's gone the other way for me.
I know you've had some bad luck, but this is a really big victory. 50th victory for Newman Haas for you. You said you want to do it for your sponsors here today, and you did it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's Texaco's race here, and it's another home race. So it's just unbelievable. So I'm just so happy.
And what about the gamut of emotions? Christian Fittipaldi running great. His engine blows up, and then you give him a ride back. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, too. He did a good job. You know, he just had his car set up a little bit better, and it was going to work out, but unfortunately the engine broke.
Michael Andretti, he comes home with a victory. Man, what a wild race it was today, guys. Michael.
Thank you. Michael Andretti has lost him that way, most notably to my booth partner Danny Sullivan back in 1990, and now he has won one that way. In the points championship, Jimmy Vasser still leads Al Unser Jr. 136 to 115. There's a long way to go this year. Vancouver is next. I'm Bob Varsha for Danny Sullivan, Marty Reed, and Jan Bikas. Thanks for being with us. Congratulations to Newman Haas and Michael Andretti. Let's go to golf now to Jericho, New York. Jim Kelly and Gary Coe.